You've this week announced you've had a committee hearings that have went on since the whole FRA special session. You've worked on some ways. Well, I'll let you define what's in the report.
Well, this is the first part of the report. We'll actually do two reports out of the committee. This first part is dealing with the issue of facilities that are related to abortion clinics and funding through Medicaid. And so we've been looking at that. As you're familiar with the FRA issue we had at the end of session, and then the special session, what we were able to do and not do. So the President Pro Tem set up this committee, which I was very happy to chair. We've heard testimony from the two departments. We had a public hearing testimony day. We had about 40 people testify, both pro and con, about the issue of funding. And so we're producing a draft report. We're going to go over the draft report today with the committee. We won't be hearing any testimony. And once we're done going over it and getting the input from the committee, we'll then finalize the draft and put it out for people to sign.
I'm just a simple hillbilly. You're one of the most educated senators that are in the body. It just feels to me like I always scratch my head. You run as a pro-life person, pro-gun person, very openly. Most all Republicans put that at the top of their literature. And then you get elected, and some people are surprised that you actually try to do pro-life, pro-gun things. In my gut, it feels like this is a committee set up to, instead of trying to do it with a big hatchet that probably never works. I always see these bills come out of the legislature that tries to cut Planned Parenthood. It looks like you're trying to cut Planned Parenthood, but cut them with a scalpel in a way that might actually be effective.
Well, I'm very sensitive to what we do, that it's constitutional. Yeah. And not just constitutional by what the Supreme Court says, but actually what's written in our state constitution.
Which is a challenge to single out a group.
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't do it. And do we really want to? Don't we want to deal with all potential future abortion providers and their affiliates? So that's one of the things we've taken an approach on this. Planned Parenthood was mentioned because they were an example, used as an example, but we are working within what the guidelines of the federal government. There are things that we can't undo. Example, for family planning, there's an any willing provider clause that is very clear and has been upheld in many court decisions. You get to go to wherever you want to for family planning.
So I always see in the legislature, now this is just me sitting up in the peanut gallery, the Republicans come out and pass an abortion bill, and they're all excited, and frankly their constituents are excited. But then a few months later, a year later, this word comes out from the court, says any willing provider, and that law gets pretty well gutted. That's happened over and over and over, and it almost feels like, when I heard you were chairing this committee, I thought, well, this might be an approach to maybe take all those court rulings and try to find something that would withstand scrutiny.
Well, that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're staying within the guidelines that we have to follow by the federal government. I think one of the things people have to realize is the Medicaid population prior to expansion, which we haven't really expanded yet, is a very pro-life topic. You're dealing with pregnant women, you're dealing with kids, disabled individuals, and seniors that are very at the end of their life. They're in nursing homes. Those are the only people we have until we implement the expansion on Medicaid. And therefore, Medicaid is a pro-life issue with me. It's very pro-life. We're dealing with pregnant women and kids. So I want to make sure we don't do anything to jeopardize our funding for that. I mean, that was part of the big fight with the end of the FRA, that trying to pass the amendment that was proposed with the time limit we had, it would have been filibuster and it would have not passed.